From Central Washington's news leader, with Heidi Tauber and Bryan Davis Sports, this is KIMA NewsBeat at 11.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. University of Washington officials say a Chicago-based engineering consultant has been at the work site all day and has been since Saturday, investigating the collapse of the new stands being built at Husky Stadium. Meanwhile, a remote-controlled cutting torch was used today to help remove the collapsed steel. University spokesman Bob Rosseth says that by the end of the week, the university plans to hire a separate independent firm to advise it on each phase of the general contractor's plans before authorizing construction to resume. The contract will be required to provide additional supervision and engineering support on the job site. A new quality control program is to include safety inspection and continued review of workmanship. Work on the $13.5 million addition to the north stands at Husky Stadium ended February 25th when 300 pounds of steel mounted in a huge Z figure collapsed into a shapeless heap. Superintendent of Public Instruction Frank Brulette told state legislators today that the latest House education package will, quote, cause irreparable damage. In a sharply worded letter to all 98 members of the House, Brulette blasted a bill that would require all teachers hired after the 1991 school year to hold master's degrees in education. That stipulation has been approved by the House Education and Ways and Means committees and awaits final action from the House. The Senate, however, has sided with Brulette, who says the state faces a projected shortage of 400 teachers by 1992 and 2,000 in 1994, and that without the added burden of additional degrees. As the various growing seasons approach, the number of students in Lower Valley schools increase, and with the help of federal dollars, special programs are taking shape for the children of migrant families. Programs designed to help students keep interested in their studies while their parents work in the fields. NewsBeat's Kathy Kamichi explains.
Enrollment figures at Mabton Elementary School are beginning to rise, this week by 6 new migrant students with a total of 12 since the beginning of the month. Before April 6, officials predict the numbers will surpass last year's 200 newcomers during the spring season. Despite efforts to have the students fit right into the regular school curriculum, there are some problems finding extra space.
We have students housed in every class and spot available, and we have even used the stage or some other areas on occasion.
Money from the federal Chapter 1 Migrant Fund is used to hire local bilingual aides who work one-on-one with students with limited English skills. The schools have 43 days with the migrant students, which poses a different educational challenge.
During that time, we have got to make the decision with brand new teachers whether to pass or retain that student based upon the best interest and needs of that student.
While the influx of students does create some stressful situations, it also gives teachers a chance to experiment.
It means more kids in the room, and it gives us another opportunity perhaps to work on different strategies.
At Mabton and other Lower Valley high schools, federally funded programs are enabling students to work during the daytime and complete their education at night. Beginning April 6th, the Washington-Texas Credit Exchange and PASS programs will allow migrant students to make up lost credits. Many Lower Valley schools will also offer secondary summer schools. Each program is designed to provide options for students who otherwise would simply drop out of school and follow their families from state to state working in the fields. Kathy Kamichi reporting for NewsBeat.
A local party leader says the recently proposed alternative to a presidential primary in Washington state is a bad one. Since a presidential primary bill was killed Monday, Democratic Party officials have come up with their own plan to allow the public to vote for their favorite Democratic candidate. The Firehouse Primary, as it's called, would be conducted on March 8th, the day precinct caucuses are held. The results would be used to determine the number of delegates candidates would receive at the state level. But Yakima County Democratic Committee Chairman Dick Marler says aside from the cost of conducting a primary locally, the Firehouse Primary has its shortcomings.
The other, I think, very obvious problem is that how do you maintain control over it, and how do you determine whether or not people have voted twice in the Firehouse primary and then have gone to the caucus, or have voted at more than one of the firehouses? I think it's an administrative nightmare that the state party has proposed, frankly.
Marler says he supports a presidential primary, but admits there have been problems with both bills so far introduced in the state legislature. Currently, only 2% of the state's population participates in presidential nominations. Seattle police say 2 more garage fires were deliberately set before dawn this morning in the northeast section of Seattle. Officials say this morning's fires caused only minor damage and no one was hurt. One was set in a garbage can, the other in a wooden boat suspended from a carport ceiling. Police spokesmen say today's incidents are similar to 4 separate arson fires reported Friday in the same neighborhood. An elderly couple died in one of those places, and 2 homes were heavily damaged. Earlier today, police questioned, then released a woman found near the 2 fires about 4 this morning. She was not formally arrested, and officials describe her only as a witness. There are no other suspects in those cases. Growers of 2 rather diverse crops in central and eastern Washington are teaming up to help tighten the rules regarding the application of 2,4-D. Grapes in at least 4 counties were severely damaged by that herbicide last year, and the same chemical is used to kill weeds in the wheat fields. Today, a state agriculture committee met in Pasco to listen to testimony from both sides. NewsBeat's Dana Wagner was there.
Large losses in grape fields in Benton, Franklin, and Walla Walla counties last year prompted a public hearing before the state ag department today in Pasco. Grape growers want more restrictive rules for the use of 2,4-D, a herbicide used to kill weeds in wheat fields, but deadly to grapes if it drifts into nearby fields. The leaders of the 2 sides have been working together the last few months, working on a compromise. They're asking the state to require anyone using 2,4-D to have a permit.
Trying to resolve this problem we have between our industries together without going to litigation or without going into an adversarial role in the hearing process, and I think we're making progress in that area now, and I expect the ruling to come out of this administrative hearing to be favorable to both of our industries because of that joint effort.
Meanwhile, the grape growers say the plan will do for now.
We are actually only asking for the minimum. We are not out to take materials nor methods from another farming area that they need. We're not after that at all. We are just after to stop the damage to us. We're not after bans of materials or equipment.
State Ag Director Alan Pettibone is set to issue a decision on adopting new rules April 1st. The decision will likely calm the 2 sides for the time being, but the 2,4-D question will not go away for long. I'm Dana Wagner reporting for NewsBeat.
A 53-year-old Spokane man who was laid off from his grocery warehouse job in September and his wife collected an $80,000 check from the regional lottery office in Spokane today. The check was the first installment of annual $80,000 checks that Jack Evans and Ann Sisnick will receive for the next 19 years. They say they'll invest most of their winnings and help their children financially. State Lottery Office spokesman Dick Paulson says the Sisnicks won $2 million this past weekend instead of the usual $1 million. That's because no one correctly chose the 6 lottery numbers the weekend before.
Some of the finest quality cars imported from Japan wind up where you least expect them.
See your Northwest Chrysler Plymouth dealers for great deals on Mitsubishi-built Plymouth imports. Plus, 3.7 financing or $300 cash back on the Colt E models. 3.7 or $300 on the luxurious Colt Premier. Get 3.7 or $300 cash back on select Colts.
It's all the Japanese you need to know. Plymouth Colt.
See it now at your Northwest Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
Pan Pac's 35th anniversary sale is just too good to miss. That ought to do it. Kohler cast iron lavatory in white, $79. Deluxe white toilet, $79. Villager model white tub, $179. Kincaid tub enclosures, clear glass with chrome trim, $79.99. Mirror and obscure glass model, $99.99. Once you've tried the pack, you'll be back.
I'll be back to hit the garden department.
Buy Bi-Mart members, shop your Bi-Mart newspaper insert now. You'll find 2.5 pages of lawn and garden outdoor specials for spring. Like Best Sulfate of Ammonia promotes rapid growth and deep green color. A 20-pound bag is now Bi-Mart sale priced at $189. And pick up a Colorite 5/8 inch by 50-foot tire cord reinforced hose. Bi-Mart sale priced at $499. After rebate, only $349. With lawnmowers and trimmers on sale too, you can't afford not to shop at Bi-Mart.
Inland's custom-designed Alcan patio covers and awnings bring a fresh new dimension to the homes of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Alcan awnings save on drape and carpet replacement, plus cooling costs. Alcan patio covers and carports provide extra living area, shelter, and enjoyment. Patio covers start at under $500 with financing available and 90 days, same as cash. Have it installed or do it yourself with free consultation. View their spacious showroom display at Inland Awning. They manufacture for fast delivery and strong quality control.
After out-dueling the Houston Rockets last night, it was on to Dallas tonight for the Seattle Sonics. In the early stages, here Dale Ellis toes the line and hits the three-pointer. He wound up with 21. Here comes the Sonics fast break. Williams off to the X-Man. He finishes things off. He also had 21 for Seattle. But Dallas was doing some running of their own. Derek Harper, dipsy-do, lays it up and in. Mavericks led by 10 after one period. They're starting to play some defense in Dallas. Here Tarpley picks off the pass, then lays off a nice pass to the former Sonic Al Wood. He got a three-point play out of it. But the big gun for the Mavericks tonight was Mark Aguirre. Here he scores 2 of his game-high 26. Aguirre again off the nice pass from Perkins in the lane. Mavs snap the Sonics' 3-game win streak, 130-117. Elsewhere around the NBA tonight, Boston got a big 20-point run in the fourth quarter. They beat Phoenix by 9. Also, Bill Walton returned to action tonight. It was Philadelphia over Chicago, 117-108. Jordan had 49 in the losing effort. Milwaukee won their 8th in a row. Detroit downs Indiana. Denver by 6 over Utah. Golden State knocks off the Los Angeles Clippers. The Central Washington Wildcats got a run for their money, but they won their first-round test against Atlanta Christian this afternoon in Kansas City. Going to the highlights of that ball game. Harris to Taylor, big dunk. He led all scorers along with Ron Vandershoff with 22. Here Vandershoff, nice pass right in the lane to Peterson. He lays it up and in. But it was a tough ball game. Here Ricky Melendez hits from way outside for ACC as this ball game was nip and tuck. 1 or 2 point difference throughout most of the first half. Now, here's a very alert play by Rodney Taylor. Off the miss, Taylor sneaks in, gets the big jam. After a rebound, Vandershoff gets pickpocketed here by Doran Chapman. He had a good game. He wound up with 20 for ACC. Here they work it around. Vandershoff hits. Afterward, Nicholson talks about the tournament.
I think we're capable of playing with everybody, and I think probably everybody else is capable of knocking us too. I think the balance of the field has really been great lately over the last few years. Not many weak sisters, none really, and everybody plays well and hard, and usually it's just, you know, the breaks. You got to have some luck. You got to play well, and you got to have some luck along the way too.
There's your final. Central Washington over Atlanta Christian by 3. They get tomorrow off. And then on Friday, they will play the winner of tomorrow's game between William Carey and St. Thomas Aquinas. The NIT got underway tonight. Some great action. Washington wins in overtime. Greg Hill got 11 points in the extra period. It was Nebraska 2-point winners over Marquette. Last second shot, the difference in that ball game. And Boise State beats Utah 62-61. In women's NCAA action tonight, it was Washington over New Mexico State by a score of 86-73, and Oregon got a 75-56 win over Eastern Washington. More news about Central Washington at a press conference in Yakima this afternoon. Sort of like deja vu as Central Washington named Mike Dunbar as the head football coach replacing Tom Perry. It won't be the first time Dunbar's been the head coach at Central or the first time he's replaced Perry. In '83, Dunbar moved up from being an assistant to replace Perry, who retired after a 14th place national ranking in 1983. Dunbar took a job with the University of Massachusetts as offensive coordinator, but then realized, hey, no place like home.
To settle in the Northwest and raise our family in the Northwest, and and when the opportunity came to return to the Northwest in what I consider God's country, we were very pleased to get that opportunity to come back. So I think that coaching is a people business. I would like to build what I consider the ideal program, as I'm sure most coaches want. And to me, that's developing the total program. Number one, I'd like, I guess if 100% of my players can graduate from college and move into society in their professions, and we win a few football games along the way, that I would consider it very successful. But
the state AA and AAA basketball tournaments get started tomorrow morning in Seattle. Now this afternoon, the Lady Rams of West Valley got in their final workout. Got in there before making the trip to the Seattle Center. Now, Coach Mal Kamamoto had his team out on the college floor at YVC to get accustomed to the larger court size. The coach really feels that if his girls play their game, they can compete with anybody.
Cooking on all cylinders. We're playing well. We can beat any team. It showed when we beat Hanford. Well, we're playing on a longer floor, so that's another psychological disadvantage, but we're trying to keep everything to a minimum. And by trying to minimize the distractions, hopefully we can focus on playing the game one at a time.
Oh, yeah, I think we can do really well. I think we're going to do the best we can, and if we do the best we can, I think we'll do real well. I think everybody's going to have to contribute to the scoring. Everybody's going to have to play defense, and our big people are going to have to block out. So I think that's the most important.
Rams open up play tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock at the Seattle Center. They play Bainbridge Island. Also, the Sunnyside boys team will take on 2:30 also at the Coliseum. We'd like to wish both of those area teams the best of luck. And one quick note, exhibition baseball. Seattle wins again. They beat Cleveland 7-5.
You know, the Mariners did great in exhibition ball last year, too. I don't think it's much of an omen as to how they'll be the rest of the season.
Well, we'll find out. They're pretty optimistic.
You can call me a pessimist.
Yes, I guess so.
Thanks, Brian. Later on in Newsbeat, we'll take a look at your chance to be a star with the Missoula Children's Theater in their rendition of The Wizard of Oz.
A night for Excedrin PM.
Today was sure no Mother's Day.
She hit me first.
This expired.
Daddy let me.
The company's moving us, so? So I can't sleep and my head aches.
When just a pain reliever isn't enough, you want Excedrin PM. Excedrin PM. Strong aspirin-free headache medicine plus a second ingredient to help you sleep. Tonight, Excedrin PM from Bristol Myers. Headache medicine, and it helps you sleep.
Touchstone Pictures presents a new kind of comedy.
I mean, can you figure it out? A guy bangs into my car.
You are nuts! Are you crazy?
Tries to get even with me by stealing my wife.
Nora, this is Bibi.
You two fall in love.
This was that guy?
Richard Dreyfuss, Danny DeVito, Barbara Hershey.
Did you get his name? Mr. Banana Head.
Mr. Merengue.
I like that name.
Tin Men, a Barry Levinson comedy. Rated R.
Starts Friday at selected theaters.
No more brown bag lunches or rush hour runs. All we'll be chasing now is blue sky and the sun. Already did my time and now we're cashing in, thanks to the help of a family friend.
The friend of the family offers investment help from a banker or a broker or an insurance agent, or all three, because you want to retire from work, not from life.
Coming back, I don't know when, that's just one of the dividends.
Ron's Quality Cars in Union Gap.
Come to Union Gap for late model four-wheel drives. Here's a Ford 4x4. How about a Suzuki 4x4? You drive 345. We do offer 2 years, 24,000-mile warranties. Here's a Jeep Wagoneer, $345 down. How about a 1985 Chevrolet S10 Blazer, $79.95. You drive 345, less than $172 a month.
For over 20 years, Ron's Quality Cars in Union Gap.
A man driving to work in Bergenfield, New Jersey this morning heard a car running inside a locked garage. He called police, and when they broke in, they found 4 teenagers dead of carbon monoxide poisoning and a suicide note in the front seat. Alec Roberts reports on that tragedy.
Bergenfield, New Jersey, population 27,000, is in shock. 4 teenagers, 3 high school dropouts, and a high school student suspended for truancy took their lives this morning in a suicide pact.
All 4 apparently have died from carbon monoxide poisoning. A note was found
written on a brown paper bag on the front seat. The note had been signed by all four of them, indicating rather clearly that it was their intention and they had in fact participated and committed suicide.
The Bergen County prosecutor said the note provided no clear reason for the suicides, but the four youths asked that they have a joint wake and be buried together. The dead were 19-year-olds Thomas Rizzo and Thomas Olton, and two sisters, 17-year-old Lisa and 18-year-old Cheryl Burris. Gina Leonard, a friend of the dead teenagers, says they were distraught over the death last September of 18-year-old Joseph Major, who fell off a cliff while drinking heavily.
I've never seen somebody passing away affect so many people the way that did.
Before this incident in Bergenfield, 4 teenagers died in accidents investigated as possible suicides in the last 8 months. According to the latest research, more than half of the teenage suicides in this country are linked to drug or alcohol abuse. Thomas Rizzo and Thomas Olton both spent time in rehabilitation centers, and alcohol may have played a role in their suicides. One of the last people to see the 4 teenagers alive was a gas station attendant named Glenn Thielman.
It was about 8 o'clock at night. They came here, they had beer with them. They asked me if I wanted one. I took one, and at the time, I believe it was about one and a half case of beer.
Thielman says the 4 tried to take the vacuum hose from the station, but were chased away by another attendant. About an hour and a half later, they were dead.
As expected, the U.S. House of Representatives voted today to freeze $40 million in aid for the Nicaraguan Contras for 6 months and to order the Reagan administration to use that time to account for millions of dollars in allegedly missing funds. The 230 to 196 vote marked the first in a series of anticipated congressional battles over the issue this year. Today's resolution was supported by members of both parties. A Senate vote on the financial aid is expected next week, but final congressional action to block the money would draw a certain veto from President Reagan, according to his advisors. One of the loudest voices supporting a halt to the $40 million installment was that of Washington Democrat Tom Foley.
Please take your seats. If you are willing to give unquestioned, continued support with hundreds of millions of dollars more, despite a record of political collapse and military insufficiency and incompetence, if you are willing to do that, then vote against this moratorium. If you demand something better in our policy and call upon this government to reach out for a bipartisan alternative, get to bring the American people and this Congress together behind the peace initiatives of President Arias, behind the Contradora efforts, behind a valuable effort to bring together Americans of all parties and positions in behalf of peace and security in Central America, then vote for this moratorium. This is your opportunity. I hope you will not miss it.
Washington's congressional delegation was split along party lines. A yes vote to the freeze for the money, along with Tom Foley, was registered by Democrats Don Bonker, Norm Dix, Mike Lowry, and Al Swift. Voting no were Republicans Rod Chandler, John Miller, and Sid Morrison. In Washington state politics today, owners of dangerous dogs would have to prove they can pay for injuries inflicted by the pet under a bill adopted today by the state Senate. The measure is partially in response to publicity surrounding a series of pit bull attacks over this past year. Today's measure spells out what a dangerous dog is, and basically that is one that would bite or attack someone without provocation. The government of Ecuador has canceled payments on its $8.2 billion foreign debt for the rest of this year, following strong earthquakes and mudslides that have cut off its main oil pipeline. The slides have killed an estimated 300 people. 4,000 others are missing. Air Force planes and helicopters continued to search the remote jungles of eastern Ecuador today, where provincial officials said villages were buried by giant mudslides triggered by last week's quakes. Many villages could not be reached by land because roads and bridges were washed out or buried. The mudslides also destroyed a 25-mile stretch of the nation's main oil pipeline, forcing a halt to oil production and exports. The Red Cross says in a communique today that 2,700 rescuers were conducting relief and search operations in disaster zones.
Still no word.
Recently, 10 best-selling latex paints were brought together in an independent test to take the guesswork out of finding a quality flat wall paint.
Hot, huh?
Each was tested on the toughest measurement of all, scrub resistance. The winner?
Glidden Spread Satin.
New improved Glidden Spread Satin. It outscrubbed them all, and it's on sale now. Glidden. Your paint should be this good.
Available at Fred Meyer.
You bought a mobile home?
Today's manufactured home.
You bought a house!
Factory-built quality at a price that makes sense.
We have 3 big bedrooms. Oh, wow. I love it. It's a manufactured home.
Today's manufactured home.
You bought a house.
Built for living, built for life.
For the next 10 days, Hahn Chrysler Plymouth offers you the lowest financing and best terms available anywhere. Nothing down and no finance charge. That's right. Finance with Chrysler Credit for up to 4 years and pay no interest. No gimmicks, no hidden costs. It's simple. Just make your best deal on any new 87 Chrysler Plymouth car in stock, and Hahn will prepay the interest fees. Remember, 10 days only, so come by today while selection is best and make the buy of a lifetime at Hahn Chrysler Plymouth.
Automatic transmission fluid, ATF. You don't change it as often as your oil, but it's just as important. It's also important you get the right ATF for your car. And here, that's Pennzoil. Pennzoil's automatic transmission fluids provide continuous lubrication and lasting protection. An ATF change done by professionals and using the right automatic transmission fluid makes us the best 10 minutes your car ever had.
Get your transmission serviced for just $34.95 at Mr. B's, 48th and Summitview.
Cloudy and 44 tonight. Today's high at 54. This morning, 31. The forecast calling for occasional showers tonight, then partly cloudy and only a chance of rain tomorrow and Friday. Highs expected near 55 overnight, 40 to 45. The chance of rain falls to 40%. So you want to be a star. Allied Arts Council of Yakima, along with the Missoula Children's Theater, may be able to open some doors for you. NewsBeat's John Rothland explains.
Daniel Nordquist and Deborah Pick are representatives from the Missoula Children's Theater. They also represent only 2 of a cast of more than 60 who will take part in a production of The Wizard of Oz this Saturday. The remaining roles will be filled by local talent, chosen from more than 300 inspired actors who tried out in an audition on Monday.
We look first of all for projection, or the ability to communicate with an audience, to be loud enough to be heard. You look second of all for the ability to emote or to project an emotion along with being heard. And then you look for character traits. Then you do the character parts, the Lion and Tin Man, the witches, so forth.
Today, Pick and Nordquist visited 3 local schools to present workshops on performing in children's theater. The workshops are considered a small part of their weekly schedule, but the majority of their job consists of holding auditions, filling 60 costumes, and putting on their play.
We come in on a Monday with cast. We had an audition here of about 300 over at the warehouse on Monday. We cast 60 people in roles. Deborah plays the Scarecrow, I play the Wizard. All the rest of the roles are played by local people.
That's going to do it for us this evening. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 5:55. Good night.